Hey guys, so welcome to the channel today. I have a special guest. It is my very good friend, patriot and glorious American, Scott Harris. And we're gonna change it up. He's good. A little bit from the way we've been doing things lately, where we've been talking about stuff with China and we've been, reviewing different survival techniques and stuff like that. Today we're just gonna talk about Scott and the cool things of Scott. And really something I want to do cool that's kind of fun that we're going to try to do when I have guests on is we're going to try a bourbon as we're talking. So we're going to review today Brothers Bond bourbon. So we're going to try it out and see how it goes.
I support this.
This is a good thing. It really helps the
Keep going.
yeah, see
There you go.
this is why I like them. So yeah, we'll just there we go.
Yeah,
Just a good touch. Yeah, there we go. All right, for me, since I don't have anywhere to go today. Lovely. So, Brothers Bond Straight Bourbon Whiskey. They have it at Walmart and everywhere else you probably find alcohol. Cheers, sir.
Thanks, brother.
I'm a fan.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really good.
I like that
It's
a lot.
really good. It's nice and smooth. Good smooth finish. Like it's not a nasty
That's
kind of
really
like
good.
catch you right in the meat kind of.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, I'll
That's
drink
it.
that.
Put that
I'll
back.
drink the rest of that today. I'm actually gonna put mine in front of me. So, first question I have for you is tell me a little bit about your background. Like, where did you grow up and how did you get your start, man?
So it is hard as it is to admit, I'm a Yankee. I grew up in New York. My dad was military aviation, drafted into the Vietnam War as a helicopter pilot, but he made a really smart decision because he was engaged to my mom at the time. She said, you need to get your ass down and enlist in the Air Force so you don't get shot down in Vietnam flying helicopters.
That's fair.
So he joined the Air Force, F-111 engine mechanic, Mountain Home, Idaho. So parents went out there. They went camping one weekend, and 9 months later, I was born. Yep. Dad got out of the Air Force, worked for American Airlines as a ramp mechanic, and worked his way up through the ranks. And when I was 16, after playing competitive hockey all over the Northeast, I was a goaltender, so that could explain a few things about me. I like to get in front of hockey pucks. He let us know we're moving to Florida. So the land of hockey and prosperity, it was not in Florida at the time. So I went to high school. I went surfing every day because that's what we do down there. And graduated. Didn't get in a lot of trouble. I didn't really skip school because I didn't want to get in trouble and not go surfing. So, I went to school every day. I was probably a C student at best. I wasn't dumb. I just didn't try very hard. And when I graduated, though, I went to college. And what I mean by went to college, I went to the prestigious Broward Community College South Campus, and day one, my math professor told me, or the whole class, I don't care if you're here or not. And I was like, well, that's all right. I like college. This is going to be a good time. So I went to college every day with my surfboard, and I went surfing usually every day. And a year and a half later, I came home and I pulled into my driveway. My driveway was you drive either the straight or like the roundabout, My mom was waiting outside for me, and she handed me a letter. And apparently, I didn't go to college anymore. She said, I need to get a job and figure something out because you're not living in my house like Dale Dobeck at 40 years old. So I kind of had the whole Air Force thing in the back burner because I saw how this whole college thing was going. And I went down to the recruiter and enlisted. And I became I wanted to be a mechanic. I wanted to work on airplanes. That's what I grew up around. That's what I knew. So the recruiter told me I can go into the Air Force. I can get my degree in 4 years. I can do all kinds of great stuff and see the world. I can probably get stationed where I want to get stationed. I was like, sign me up. So I went to boot camp. I went to tech school in what's that base up on the freaking Wichita Falls, Texas? I'm drawing a complete blank. Shepherd. Went to Shepherd Air Force Base. I saw tornadoes for the first time ever.
There we go.
But I got off the bus, and I remember all the trainees that had been there a while, they always meet the new guys coming in. And they're all laughing. And they say, who's that F-16? I'm like, I do. I'm here for like 6 weeks. Like, nope, you're here for like 7 months, sucker.
Oh.
I was like, holy crap. So, did all that fun stuff, and I got sent to Luke Air Force Base out in Phoenix, where I learned how to be a mechanic and did that. And I quickly realized that whole going to school thing and working, that's not working. I mean, you're on the flight line 10, 12 hours a night, and going to school just isn't an option. So I got pretty good at what I did. I really enjoyed it. I didn't know if I wanted to make a career, but I had a supervisor named Bob Hillary, And that, back in those days, you can call your supervisors by their first name. Like, he was Bob. You know, he took his shirt off at night, turned wrenches with us. Well, one day Bob said to me, "Hey, Scotty, you should put up with the Thunderbirds." I started laughing. I'm like, "Come on, man." I said, "Dude, I'm a greasy mechanic. I that's not me." He's like, "Yo, man, I think you'd be good at it." I said, "Whatever." So I applied, and I got hired, which was crazy as a senior airman in E4. So back then, you didn't have, you know, the internet like we have now. And they didn't like give you digital orders. You have to call them on the phone. And I called the Thunderbirds and I said, "Hi, I understand that I've been accepted to the team. You know, what do I need to do?" And she said, "Well, you need to pick a base." I said, "What do you mean pick a base? I'm going to go to Las Vegas, where you guys are." I said, "You're coming here. You're going to Korea first." I was like, "What the hell?"
These are not the orders I signed up for.
this was not part of the deal. But so I said, "Well, let me think about it. I want to talk to some of the old guys and see which one I should go to between Kunsan and Osan." She said, "Okay, let me know like in 2 days." So I walked in to work the next day. 8th Fighter Wing. Going to Kunsan. So off to Kunsan I go. And honestly, it was the best thing for me because, you know, working in Arizona is a training base. It's, you know, you just fly flight sorties and you don't really do anything other than training. Kunsan was the real deal. That place was like freaking anarchy. They didn't care what you did over there. As long as you came to work and were alive and didn't get arrested or kill anybody, that's all they cared about. I remember going to work and the flight chief briefing us on, of the 16 airplanes we had, here's the 4 that work. And we had to fix all. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good time.
4 working.
Kunsan was nuts back then. Excuse me, that was 98, 99. God, I'm old, man. But we would.
So I graduated high school.
Fair enough. Thank you. I have comments for that, but we'll just. There's a family.
Shelf them for later.
There's a family channel. But we used to cut 1 or 2 guys out early every night to go to A-Town and get soju to bring it back on base so we can hang out and play cards and drink soju until the wee hours of the morning. So I survived my year. I didn't get in too much trouble. Went to the Thunderbirds and had really the coolest time of my life. I mean, that was the hardest I've ever worked for 4 years. But it was challenging because everybody operational sees them as just, you know, oh, they're just pretty boys. They're just doing this. They don't work that hard. I've never worked hard in my entire life. Absolutely entire life. But one of the most impactful things that happened while I was on the team was 9/11. So we were in Sioux Falls, South Dakota on September 10th. Did an air show, trying to get home. Lost all air support just because of logistics, nothing to do with 9/11. And they flew one C-130 home with half the team, came back and got the other half of us. So we landed probably as 9/11 was happening and went back to our apartments and then got a phone call 2 hours later. "You need to come to work right now and see what's up." So the tough thing was all of us tried to quit. Every one of us tried to quit and wanted to go back to, we wanted to go back to the great world. All our friends are deploying, all our friends are going downrange, and I'm in Las Vegas off for like 2 weeks because we're not doing air shows. But with all the skies quiet, which is eerie as hell to see.
Yeah, super
I mean,
weird. Totally remember that.
Freaking crazy. The very first flight in Las Vegas was the Thunderbirds flying all 6 jets, Delta formation, over the Strip, over all of Las Vegas, and that kind of kicked things off. And you know, you kind of think like, okay, maybe there's a reason I'm here right now. I can't go down range, but maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
And you know, I'm sure for the people of Vegas who were reeling just like everybody else was, that in the moment was a big win. You know what I mean? Even just as a moral win. You know, we're just feeling good. So I mean, that's awesome.
So I went to the first air show, and I remember walking in. This was in Lubbock, Texas. The hot spot of
nice.
Hot spot of nothing there.
Yeah, a runway and a control tower.
And I walked into the VIP section just to go to the airplanes. It's spot right for it. And the whole section stood up and started clapping for me and a couple of my buddies. And I was like, what the hell? What's behind me? What I didn't realize was they were clapping for us, and not the Thunderbirds necessarily, but because they see all this war stuff happening on TV, and we're the closest thing to all those folks downrange, and they were just applauding the military. So that kind of got the old lump in the throat going, like, man, there's a reason we're doing this. I get it.
Yeah, because I mean they were just gravitating to anything they could hold on to that was in that realm, because it was all about like, okay, now what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Like, how are we gonna respond?
Yeah, is everything going to be okay? And you know, our jets weren't bombing people, but being able to see all the different variant demonstration teams, the A-10s, the F-15s, the 16s, and then the Thunderbirds, it let America see what its military had to offer the bad guys, and we kind of got a leg up on them.
And you see those teams fly by, and it's like, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We're gonna be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
They're not gonna be fine, but we are gonna be great. Everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I left the team and I went to Hill Air Force Base, Utah, combat wing. Very happy to be there. And the first question I asked is, when are we deploying? When are we going down range? And I left for Iraq 2 days before Christmas.
Nice.
2004. Yeah. So they give you all these briefings like, when you get there, don't walk in the dirt, don't do this. It's gonna be dark. It's gonna be, in my mind, I'm going to Vietnam. I'm gonna be landing in the middle of the shit. It's on. So we get into Iraq, and the back door opens. We all got out, and there's some really old civilian that's been there since probably the 90s doing God knows what. And he's yelling at us, "Go stand in the dirt!" And I'm like, "They told me not to go in the dirt. I can't go in the dirt. Don't stand in the dirt." So now I'm staying in the dirt. Long story short, we get back. We finally get through all the in-processing. We get to where we're living, and I look up, and there's like a 30-foot lit-up Christmas tree in the middle of H6. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. We're here, the base is getting mortared, and you got a damn Christmas tree lit up in the middle of the place.
A nice shooting stick right in the middle.
Right? Hey man, wear your disco belts, salute the officers, and let's have a Christmas tree here. But no, I did that for 5 years, not Iraq, and I actually went to the Air Force Academy for 4 years and worked there.
What was that like? I mean, it's a fabled place, like the chapel with all the spires.
Beautiful.
And beautiful backdrop of the mountains. I mean, it's a beautiful place. What's it like?
It is, it changed my opinion on the academy. There's, you know as well as I do, there's good warrants and bad warrants, there's good NCOs and bad, the gauntlet from grads to ROTC, there's good and bad. First off, that place is the hardest curriculum I've ever seen in my entire life. Those kids have to go through their basic classes like Chem 100, physics, and these other calculus nonsense classes, but a lot of them have never failed anything in their lives. And I remember them standing in front of my desk sobbing because they got an F and they've never gotten anything below an A. So it was a lot for them to undertake. But for me personally, I was the only flight line mechanic on the base. I had a good friend of mine. I got accepted. A good friend of mine released me from my career field. Let me go to this. That took me a while to wrap my brain around, because my mentality on a flight line is a lot different than someone that's working like a traditional personnel job or a back behind the scenes support role. So another important thing, I learned I'm very bad at grammar. At the time, I was terrible at grammar. And I used to send out nasty grams to the cadets, and they would send me back to spelling corrections. And,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's lovely. I
had one of my female cadets. I sent her a nasty gram, and she was from New York, just talked just like Snooki from the Jersey Shore.
Nice.
And she's like, "Sergeant Harris, you spelled that. I'm like, "Shut up, Nicole. The cleaning room." Just look at me, roll her eyes.
I actually had an appointment to the academy, believe it or not.
Really?
For basketball. Yep, to be on the basketball team. And I went up there, played for the coaches and all that stuff, so they could see kind of how I was going to fit in.
Yeah.
I talked to some of the cadets that were on the team there, and they told me that. They were like, "Hey, I was like a 4.2 valedictorian of my class, and now I am a 2.5 guy." And I'm like, cool, so my GPA in high school is what I would describe as subterranean. Like, I'm a 2.7-ish guy. Like, so my 2.7 will be like a 0.5 when I get to the academy. Like, how long am I actually going to last here before I get a government travel back to Missouri for great work, sir?
You've done well. Thank you. Your family's very proud.
Which is why the Army, of course, took me and I did very well.
That makes sense.
Step down. Yeah.
But no, the whole grammar thing, I realized, a little bit more than this. Realized that, I can't spell, and my paragraph structures are terrible at the time. I started working at a place out in the woods on base at called the Ropes Course. It's it's like a leadership reaction course in LRC, but it's more team building and kind of getting people out of their comfort zones. And that's where I started really speaking in public and getting comfortable, just taking a team from being angry with each other to the end of the day crying and hugging each other. Never thought in a million years I would wear a pair of khaki pants and a harness to work for 4 years. I would show up at like commander's calls, and all the enlisted guys that have been there like 2 years, they'd be welcoming me, and they'd be like, "Oh, when'd you get here?" I'm like, "I've been here for years, dude. I'm the guy that works out in the woods." Like, "Oh, you're that guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm that guy."
Is it the sort of course where it's confidence by itself, or was it like confidence plus like field problems, where it's like, here's, you have 3 ropes, a 50-pound box of whatever they're going to say, nuclear material, and you have to get it from A to B? Is it one of those?
It's a lot. It's both of those. It's
both.
Nice. It's both. I would do things where they have to work together as a team and learn communication skills. I had things where they had to climb a giant alpine tower just to overcome their fears. There was a trust fall, like a legit trust fall. Trust fall.
Legit trust fall.
But that was really probably one of the coolest, most unique jobs I've ever had. But I finished up there, I knew, so when I got hired for that job and I called my buddy who was my functional manager who releases us from our career fields and, decides where you're going, I called him, and his name, we call him Spence, and he spoke 1,000 miles an hour. And I called him and I'm like, "Hey Spence, what's up?" It's Scott. He goes, "Hey man, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, whoa, slow down. I said, "Hey man, I just got orders to the Air Force Academy. Do you think you can release me from my career field?" Like, "Come on man, I can't do it, da, da, da." I'm like, "Spence, we were roommates. I'm asking for this favor." So he released me from my career field. I got to go, and I actually called him to thank him, and I said, "So am I going to Osan and Kunsan next? I know I got to go on a remote tour after this." And he laughed and he goes, "We'll see." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." So now I'm flying to Osan.
Of course.
But I think one important thing I left out, and I'm rambling, but it happens. Big thing happened between my time at Utah and my time going to Osan is I had a daughter. So now I'm a girl dad. Never thought I'd be a girl dad, but I'm a girl dad.
Welcome.
And that's all I know.
Welcome to the party.
Right? You were drastic outnumbered, sir. So I was a very involved dad. I had my daughter, me and my ex-wife had split up at the time, and she lived in Colorado Springs, so I had Madison more than 50% of the time, but it was a good 50, 60, 40 relationship, saw her all the time. So when I went to Osan, I had to leave her in Colorado with her mom at the time by herself, and that was, I know you've deployed countless times. It's just the worst feeling in the world, and they're so little, they don't understand. One minute daddy's there, and next minute daddy's not there. Where's daddy's on the computer talking to me, and that's kind of weird, but okay. And when we're gone, that's all we hang on to is that one few minute phone call or a video call, and you look forward to it all day long. Maybe the connection's bad, maybe the service is down, or maybe your kid doesn't want to talk because they're in first grade or kindergarten and they're just not going to talk, and that's all you have. But at Osan, first off, Osan was the best assignment of my life as far as professionally. Personally, different story. I made the best of the assignment, but there's a lot of families there. So every day I would leave my dorm, which overlooked the high school field. I would walk past the CDC. I would walk past the vet and see the dogs outside, and I'd walk my lonely ass to work in my freezing ass hangar by myself. Woe is me. Or I would drive in my purple car, the purple people eater as I called it, 94 Hyundai. But it was a great assignment. I had some amazing leadership over there. They really got it. So, we always talk about bad leaders are easy. You can talk about bad leaders all day long. We have 1,000 of them. It's those good ones that are hard to talk about, but I had some amazing leadership over there.
Yeah.
So
it makes it easier.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
They trusted you. I already said, "I'm not going to let you fall. I'm going to let you stumble a little bit. You may bump your knee, but I'm not going to let you fall on your face." And he did. So then I got sent my final assignment here to Eglin. I did not have my daughter. The girl I was seeing at the time broke up with me over social media. That was awesome. I hated my job because I was in the F-35 program where they had 8 to 10 master sergeants in my E7s in my unit, and I was in E7. And I begged them to send me anywhere. Send me anywhere. Please send me somewhere I can go work. They're like, "Nope, we need you here." So I wallered in misery in that building. My E9 at the time, because he was not a chief, told me, "You're not going to make senior." E8, sorry to tell you that. This is after 5 minutes meeting him.
Nice.
I made it that year. It was awesome. The day they handed me the straps, I was looking at him like, "Something want to say?"
Something wasn't here before. There's here now.
There's the next one there. But in true fashion to that place, me begging to get to work, they sentenced me to the Inspector General's office, which was absolutely the worst job I had in my entire career. This wasn't me. Wasn't what I wanted to do. Not my style. And
the Air Force is really traditionally known for doing a really good job of taking care of people. and it seems like they did a great job taking care of you up until that, where
Yep.
it's like you consider your career path, sending you to IG does not seem like a sensible move whatsoever. Like,
No.
it almost seems like
No.
quite the opposite.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what's that like?
It was soul crushing. You know, everybody wants to have that cool casual job. You don't do anything. That's really exciting for about 6 months. Then you're like, why am I even coming to work anymore? Nobody cares I'm here. I got 4 emails a day, and 2 of them about a bake sale, and 1 from an exec about some other nonsense about somebody parked in somebody's parking spot. I went.
Call the IG. You parked in my parking
So
spot.
I went fishing every day.
Wow.
My counterpart was a fishing captain, and he would go out all the time, checking out new spots or trying out new gear. And he'd be like, "You want to go fishing?" I'm like, "Okay." So
Fine, I guess.
every day we would go out, and I would always text my now wife, "Hey babe, going out through the pass," because I was letting them on the water, you know, let her know I'm safe and stuff like that. And she works in the medical world, so she's always responding, "Fine, okay,
Whatever."
I know she's not mad, but you know, so I want to let her know I'm safe. But they started deploying IG guys downrange, and you know, something else I failed to mention: I now had custody of my daughter. I now had physical custody of my daughter in 1st grade. Her mom, she's good people. She doesn't drink,
Yeah.
doesn't do drugs. It worked out better for Madison to be here with the support and stuff we can give her here. So it just worked out better. I met my wife Tina, who you know, and Tina became a mom again because she has 2 older kids, but now she's getting to do all this all over again. But they started deploying IG guys, and I had a serious shot at making E9. I never tested for it, but I had a really, really good shot at making it. I started looking at it and thinking, is the stripe worth it to leave my kid again, jeopardize my relationship, and when I get promoted, I'm going to get an assignment out of here.
Yeah.
So God knows where, probably back to Korea, and then no, guess where I'm going after that. So I punched. Right when my bucket showed up, I said, nope, I'm not deploying, I'm out. And I got out, I retired.
And I respect that, because I mean, there's so many guys that choose career over family that I'm sure the ratio is not great when it's you know, a number of guys that choose their career over family and stability. So I mean, that's awesome. And you know, you look at what you get to do now that you're out of that. Like, I mean, just give us the overview of that now that what you're doing now that you've successfully escaped the military structure.
So
let's talk about that.
First off, if anybody's watching that's like thinking about retiring, please have a plan.
Oh yeah,
have a plan.
Yeah, have a plan without
Like,
a doubt.
literally have a plan. Ask, because I did not have a plan. I just pushed the button and said, you know what? I'm a senior master sergeant. I've got a degree from Embry-Riddle. I've got a security clearance. Please, someone pay me $100,000 a year. I applied for probably over 100 jobs. I couldn't get a job at, my job was, I was called the crew chief. I applied for basic crew chief jobs. Sorry, we're considering other candidates. I started panicking.
Yeah.
I started panicking. I had figured out that my disability rating was 20%, and I am pretty broken. You know, I'm not as bad as a lot of folks out there.
Okay.
But I heard every day. So I got 20% disability, and I couldn't get a job. And we're coming up towards the end of, like, you're about to be living off of your retirement, and that's it.
Oh yeah.
So I told my wife, I said, well, I'll just apply at Lowe's. I need a job. I'll just, and there's nothing wrong working at Lowe's at all. I mean, a lot of guys and gals do that. So I went and applied at Lowe's, and I messed up because the manager who interviewed me started asking me questions like, so, if you see a safety concern or a trouble with a team member, how would you react? And I went, blah. And I just started talking all my leadership experience and my talking, and I have a feeling he suspected I was coming after his job. So I didn't get hired for Lowe's. And I think that was my low point. That's when I kind of hit rock bottom. And again, not because it's Lowe's, but I can't get a job anywhere. I can't get a job.
And I think a lot of us go through that because you think about, the most dangerous thing you can do in your own mind is comparison.
Yeah.
Where, you look back at your former life and you're like, hey, I was in charge of how many jets?
A lot.
How many, dudes? How many, airmen, all these different things. And you're like, cool, I can't even get a job pushing lumber at Lowe's. This is great.
Yeah.
This is great.
It was awesome. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah, I'm great. Yeah,
It's fine.
great.
It's fine. We'll be good.
Fall back on what you know.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. $20, hey man.
Yeah.
But I did something that a lot of people fail to do. I reached out for help. I actually threw out a Hail Mary. I let everybody know on social media, I need a job. Please, somebody help me. And And it was crazy how many people actually reached out. Like, it's people I haven't talked to in 20 years. Hey, dude, I know we haven't talked a lot, but you know, what are you looking to do? Where do you want to be? What do you got? Send me your resume. Let me see what I can get you. And a friend of mine got me hooked up with. Well, hang on. Before that, my friend Mike, who you know.
Yep.
Mike at the time did all the big lighting for all the big concerts in town. Like, we're not talking little one-off things. He does, you know, the Gulf Coast Pepsi Jam. He does all the big shows at the Block, and you know, all kinds of. It's like, hey, dude, come work with me. I hope we can do this for a little while, get you some money, and that way we can, you know, as you're figuring stuff out. So I helped him put up giant soundboards in the gymnasium on this ridiculous forklift, scissor lift thing. I helped him do a couple other gigs. I did a high school homecoming dance, which was a traumatizing event for me. I've never been so sweaty and offended and all in the same. And now, as a father of a high school student, I am equally terrified.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I think the straw that broke the camel's back on that one is we did a show on Bay Street at Eglin at Postal Point for the Lieutenant Dan Band with Lieutenant Dan.
Nice, yeah.
And one of the nicest guys in the world, but we set up this giant stage, and I am drenched, just absolutely drenched in sweat. Every part of we're talking, you know, giant lights and trusses and all this crap that I had no business hauling at the time, 41 years old. That sucks. So, again, Hail Mary, and I got picked up to turn wrenches on the F-35 for 1 year. 1 year. Lockheed Martin mod team.
Nice.
So you take America's latest and greatest investments, and they flew it from the factory to where we at, and we took it apart. And I would go home at night and lay on the ground in agony because every part of my body hurt. Madison was still little, and she would walk around on my back because it hurt. And I was miserable. I was thankful. I was paying bills, you know.
Yep.
I was paying bills. But man, I was miserable. That shit hurts. We're too old to be turning wrenches, dude.
Was it just a matter of the physical? I mean, was like the actual work itself cool? Just getting to be hands-on
That was cool.
Latest and greatest of what we have in the inventory?
That was neat. I mean, that part was cool. You know,
you just go home and like ice pack.
Standing in fuel cells and, you know, wearing respirators and all that stuff. You know, it was cool to do. But you know what the problem again was? Leadership. Once again, leadership. That job required us to travel a lot. And I kind of dodged that bullet. And not travel like for weekends, but like months at a time. I went to Beaufort, South Carolina for 3 months. I drove home every single weekend so I can be with my family. 11 hours. And then I got sent to Edwards Air Force Base, a little slice of heaven out there in the Mojave Desert, for 2 weeks. Quick trip, right? Really big thing happened around that time. Hurricane Michael.
Nice.
So this hurricane is coming square at my house, pretty much, on the map. And this T where I kept getting pushed. Now we had to go these 2 weeks for some reason. So I made a post on social media basically stating that I'm never doing this again. I'm not leaving my family. Things have to change. Church it up to the resume. Somebody I worked with made a comment on it, bad-mouthing the company. And my boss at that time called me. And we had a very heated discussion in the rental car I was in. And I swore I'd never do that again. And I didn't. My brother-in-law called me out of the blue and said, hey man, what do you know about engineering blueprints and, you know, avionics and reading diagrams and all that good stuff? I said, what do you want to know? How would you like to learn to hack it? I said, when can I start? Please, sweet baby Jesus.
Let's do this.
Please get me out of here. So, long story short, I became a aircraft and weapons cybersecurity engineer. Who in the right mind would ever think that's what I'm going to be doing? I mean, think about it, man. You flew Chinooks in combats. You have done some of the, like, the shit you've told me about, I couldn't imagine doing it. I can't fathom it. Which became normal to you.
Yeah, of course.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Now I'm hanging out with cybersecurity folks.
Yeah, which sounds cool because really, if you think about it, I mean, in terms of like what we see on the world stage anymore, that's like the fifth pillar of war now, man. Where cybersecurity is the new front.
There's little dudes in their mom's basements hacking into your systems from afar, and you have no idea what you have no idea. But it's cool because I get to do all the Air Force stuff without all the Air Force stuff. I don't have to run in formation. Well, we don't really do that in the Air Force anyway. Fair enough. I mean, realistically,
Ridiculous.
Let's be real. There were 4 doors, sometimes 5s, at all of the little strip malls. You, sir.
Oh, here we go.
Pick the door.
Here we go. Yeah, I picked the door that said Army on it. That's true.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yes. Funny story though, when I went to pick my door, it was locked. I'm not even lying, it was closed. Like they were not there. So our Marine Corps brothers were outside, and they brought me inside their little office there, and I said, I'll talk to them, whatever. What's the harm? I took a practice ASVAB test, and they wanted to make me in charge of the Marine Corps at that time.
Makes sense.
And they asked me to give me these little blocks with all these words on it, like loyalty, country, job, school. I said, I want you to rack and stack these from first to worst. What's the most important thing to you? What's the least important? Oh, okay, I can do that. So it was like school, family, country, job, blah 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 blah. He's like, oh, those are great. Those are great. He starts talking more and more about the Corps, and I respect the hell out of the Marine Corps. So please don't take that.
Yeah, absolutely. Those dudes
and
real
gals,
work.
they do some shit that I couldn't even. Actually, that reminds me. I gotta tell you my favorite Iraq story here in a minute.
Yeah.
I got a couple. But he kept saying, you'll be part of the Corps. I said, I got that, dude, but I want something more to come out of this. I want to, because at the time I was doing 4 years. I didn't know it was going to be a 23 years.
Yeah, it's like the Odyssey. You only plan on being gone for a little bit, and now you're going to be gone for 20 plus years. How did this happen?
And I finally said to him, I said, listen, I don't want to be working at a low-paying job, being able to tell people I was in the Corps. I want to have a career. I want to have a profession. So I left. I don't think you like my answers too much, but it is what it is.
That's one of those things that when I come across somebody who is looking at joining the military, one of the first things that I always tell them is like, pick a career field that you like, but pick a career field that has a future.
Yes.
Don't pick a career field that is something that's like, okay, unless I am in the Marines, I cannot do this job.
Yes.
So that when you get out, you're going to work the toll bridge going across into Destin.
I used to call them prison skills.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, you're really good at shanking somebody, but you actually have any skills?
Right.
No, none. So, yeah.
And if you get a career like that, there's something wrong with it, because we need them. We need
gotta have it.
But start trying to broaden your horizons. Start thinking, okay, if I gotta have the military in 4 years, can I go rivet a panel on an aircraft or a tank or a helicopter? Or am I learning more about a career broadening, something that I can translate into a civilian job? And I think we, as veterans and as a country, do a disservice to our current active duty by not trying to preach that to them and teach them that there is going to be life after the military. You join the military when you're 18, you do 20 years. You're not that old, man.
Yeah.
You're still young when you punch. So I think we do a disservice to our men and women in service right now to not really kind of to teach them as more to life in the military. Do a career, absolutely. If that's what you want to do, that's awesome. I support it. But we need to start earlier teaching these folks how to retire. So
yeah. So did Air Force guys do what you guys normally do and show about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then unlock that door and let you in? Stay till 3.
I don't remember when it was, but it was fairly in the afternoon.
Sure,
it
makes
was
sense.
pretty much
It perfect sense. I mean, they showed up, casually.
And you know what he told me? He goes, I was in the Navy, and I forget the career he had, and he wasn't happy with it. He said, I wanted to be a chef. I'm like, that's cool, man. He goes, I want to be a chef. I'm like, right on, dude. He says, I went to the Air Force. He's like, we're going to make you a chef. I'm like, that's really cool. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but enlisted aides to generals are actually culinary trained chefs.
Really?
Yes, they're chefs.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. Most of them are actually chefs.
Pretty cool.
I had a guy at Hill I was stationed with who was an exec for some couple star guy somewhere, and he would cook for us all the time. He was a chef. Right?
See, and again, that goes right back to what we were just talking about. We're like, pick a career path that will lead you to somewhere. Because now you take these soldiers that are trained in like high level culinary arts. Like, guess what? Open a restaurant.
Yeah.
Like you've got a path. You have somewhere to go versus just I can shoot people.
No, very good.
Cool, good. Wagner Group needs help right now.
Yeah.
Go fight for Russia. Like, what are your options? You have a lot of choices there. Yeah, so. Cool. So what happened after that?
Day 1 basic training. Lackland Air Force Base. I'm at the DFAC or the Chow Hall or whatever you call it in your branch, and I'm standing there with my little blue tray that says in yellow, "Welcome to the Air Force Lackland, Gateway to the Air Force, Lackland Air Force Base," and you're doing the side by side. I don't even have a uniform yet. I'm in civilian clothes. My hair is a mess. It's just a it's train wreck. And I look at the dude behind the counter who just slopped some eggs into my thing, and I'm like, son of a bitch, you worked at the Chow Hall. You were not chef.
That is easily the worst part of being in the military in terms of basic training is like the first week and a half. And later into training, you see these dudes when you've got like your uniform on and you're going to training, And here they are, like, hair's a total nightmare because they've been up for like 2 days. They're wearing like the clothes they brought with them.
Yeah.
Just a mess. Like they don't even have gear yet.
Yeah,
Like,
their head isn't even shaved
oh
yet.
yeah, they're not even shaved.
No.
They're just
They
fresh
still
to
do
there.
that, right? They still shave their head, do they?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we got
They
past that.
better.
Oh
They
my
better.
God.
If the military's not shaving
Yeah.
heads, I'm going to Costa Rica.
Passing that hair dye.
Costa Rica.
I'm telling you, I'm looking into it.
Yeah, let's make it happen. So, what's your favorite part of doing cybersecurity?
I think it's so we go to all these programs and they look at us and they say that's impossible. That can never happen. How can that happen? We've got these trusted, vetted people, security clearances to the highest level. We've got armed guards at the gate. We've got gates. We call them guns, gates, guards, and we laugh like. I got news for you. If that's your only defense to this system that runs on all these different. Because you may not think about it, the helicopters you flew when you first came in, think about the technology. Now, I worked F-16s. Let's think F-35 technology. Let's think futuristic airplane that aren't even discussed yet technology. It's a flying computer. And just like our computers in the house, our phones, whatever, you get viruses, you get bugs, you get hacked. These systems can get hacked. And we start explaining to these programs, and they don't believe me. And I said, okay, we're going to do a cyber test. And we do our cyber test. And our testers, who are white hats, they're legal, good guys that know some pretty bad stuff, go in and do things and show them, look, I'm sitting right here in your system. I can control it any way I want. Like, oh, but it was really hard, right? He goes, no, it was easy. I could do that in a day. How would you do it? I can do it from my house pretty simply. I think opening up their eyes to all that is the part I really enjoy about it. I really like seeing the new technology that's coming down the pipe, weapon systems that's coming down the pipe. But even more, what I'm doing now with SOCOM, Special Operations Command, and I'm in no way a special operator, so don't take that the wrong way. I just happen to work in that building. I am not. A lot of folks do that. They work as a force. I'm Special Forces.
Nope.
I am not Special Forces. I'm a cyber engineer. But the guys and gals I work with now, these programs and platforms are downrange right now. So we're making bad guys rethink their life choices right now on the stuff that I'm helping develop, and I think that's the coolest thing.
I think one of the things that's crazy to me is, we've talked about this a couple times before, but you actually see. I read an article just now, right before you came over for us to film this. I don't know if you saw it, but the the Senior Chief of the Air Force, Bass,
Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, sir.
Yeah, her husband.
Yes.
Have you seen this information that just came out? That there was like this guy who
Ran
just
the gate
got
or
on the
something like that?
base. Yeah, ran the gate.
Yeah.
Got through to the flight line, did something to an aircraft, and then as he was trying to escape, this dude just pulls a gap and shoots a warning shot at this guy until the police show up, until the SPS show up and arrest this guy.
Yeah, right?
So like you're saying, I mean, to your point exactly, like, cool, yeah, great, you've got physical security. This guy who is nobody ran through the gate, which is supposed to be hardened to, people breaking through anymore, got to an aircraft, and then magically this dude shows up, there's a warning shot at him. Like, perfect example of what you're saying. Like, this guy, he had time with the aircraft. What did he do?
Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
So another thing we talk about too is what's outside of every single military base. Tattoo shop. You have to get a tattoo if you
of course.
A car dealership, so you can get that new Corvette at 28%.
20%, exactly.
And a dive bar.
Yeah.
There's a dive bar. So I don't know how many people have actually looked at like an E1 to E3's paycheck. It's not a lot of money. It's not what we asked them to do.
No, not much.
So if I'm a bad guy and I start hanging out in one of the local bars, and I befriend you as an E2 or E3, you got no money. I got a lot of money because I'm from whatever, Uzbekistan, you name it, Stan. I got tons of money. I'm not going to come up to you on day one and be like, hey, put this in your
Here's what I want you to do.
I'm going to become your friend over about a year or two. And I'm going to lend you some money here and there. We're going to be buddies. We're going to go drinking together, clubs, you name it. I'm going to be your best friend. And then one day I'm like, hey, dude, I need a favor from you. Would you mind plugging this into that airplane? I'm going to give you $20,000 in cash. What is it? It's just a test my company's doing. Don't worry about it. But
don't even worry about it.
Do me a favor. Don't tell anybody because it's it's this company I'm trying to start and just some data we're trying to gather. $20,000, and you're going to be like, now I can afford that Corvette.
Yeah, I can pay off the Corvette. I'm
finally
pay
off my Corvette, and you go and do it.
Yeah,
and that happens probably a lot. I mean, it's a big scary world out there.
And they're targeting the exact group of people you would want to target if you're doing that, because it's 18, 19-year-old guys like we were. I mean, you remember being that age, like the
I
dumb
hung out the
stuff.
sage and sand outside of
Yeah,
Air
you
Force
just
Base.
the dumb stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, $20,000, A, ton of money.
Yeah.
B, we're good buddies, man. It's just a thumb drive. I'm not asking you to, go assassinate the president. I just need you to take 30 seconds out of your day when you're out walking your patrol and pop that sucker in there.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
A lot happened. So it's a cool job, man. It's the most fun I've had in my 25-ish, actually, oh my God, almost 30 years.
30 years.
That's ridiculous.
That's
ridiculous.
But it's cool though. I mean, it's a super cool job.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds super interesting, without a doubt.
Yeah.
So, on the channel before, I've talked about being a yes guy, where you say, a friend such as this guy comes along and says, "Hey, do you want to go kite surf today?" And of course, like I'm cool with anything, I say yes.
Yes.
So we go kite surf. Tell me about kite surfing, man.
So, a little backstory.
Yeah, let's talk about this.
So, when I was 7 years old, me and I have a younger brother. I say younger, he's just 3 years younger than me. We loved hockey. Grew up watching hockey. We were New York Islander fans back in the day. I'm a Flyer fan now because I love Ron Hextall. And we would watch hockey all the time, and we would beg our mom, please take us skating. We want to go play hockey so bad. And my mom was like, you know what? I'm going to show them. I'm going to take them to the local rink, and they're going to go out there and fall on their asses, and then we're good. And she tells me and my mom are real close. We talk all the time. And she said, the horror in my face when you guys put on those skates and started flying around the rink, screaming how awesome this was, she knew she was in trouble. So that year for Christmas, we all got hockey equipment, and we started playing hockey, and we traveled all over the East Coast, the Northeast, Canada. I remember my mom would just drive through the night in snowstorms to get us to Boston, play hockey for a couple days. And I was a goaltender. I was a big dummy. I did it at first. I thought the equipment was cool. Then I realized I was really.
The equipment was cool. I like putting all this stuff on.
Then I realized I'm actually really good at it. For some reason, I could stop a hockey puck. I couldn't tell you why or what, but I knew where they were going to shoot the puck.
Natural gifts, man.
And I could get there. Like I said, I moved to Florida, and I still played hockey. I played hockey in call them beer leagues, and it's old has-beens. So back then, no real leagues down there. All the old guy leagues were ex-pros, like D1 players, Canadians, all these, and I was like
legit ballers, huh?
17, and my mom had to sign a waiver so I can go play. And the games are at like 9, 10 o'clock at night. I'm still not making any money off these old guys. And they call them beer leagues because there's always beer in the locker room after the game.
Yep.
So she had to sign a waiver so I could play. Like I wouldn't sue them if I got in trouble. And they soon realized they couldn't score on me much. So they used to beat me up on the ice because I'm this little punk-ass kid.
Of course.
I might have been a little arrogant. I might have spoken my mind occasionally.
No, I don't.
I would occasionally get beat up after the game. But the funny thing is, my biggest injury I've ever had in hockey happened in Florida, in a men's league that started when a guy on my team hit me square in the head with my helmet on in warm-ups, and I fell back on the ice, and I was like, man, I'm sweaty. Why am I so sweaty right now? And the guy skated up,
so hot.
and I see this face, and he goes, "Oh shit, get him a towel!" Well, that was blood pouring out of my helmet. My head had split wide open.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had a ton of stitches and whatever. So joined the Air Force like we talked about, and went out to Arizona. So now my hobbies are hockey and surfing. I'm now in Arizona. There is no hockey. There is no surfing. So I'm like, well, I need a hobby other than running around like a lunatic at 21 years old. So me and a buddy of mine went up to Flagstaff, and I learned to snowboard. And that was a cool sport. That was a really cool sport. I did it in Flagstaff a couple of times. I did it in Kunsan once or twice. Took a tour out there. And when I went to Vegas, there's a mountain just north of town that, I forget the name of it, but I went there all the time. Then when I got to Utah, I really learned to snowboard. I was a backcountry snowboarder. I got pictures of me jumping off of ledges and doing dumb shit I shouldn't do at my age. But I blew my knee apart out there, tore my ACL, MCL. 'Cause that's what you do in your mid-30s.
Makes sense.
Yeah. My ex-wife was pregnant at the time, and I had a hip to ankle brace on, and I'm trying to. Yeah, it was a good time. Got to Osan this last time. Now I'm a rock climber, which is so cool. Still a hockey player and still a backcountry snowboarder, and now I'm coming to Florida, Panhandle, Florida. We do not have mountains.
No mountains.
We do not have snow except for once every decade.
I hope not. No more
dusts.
snow.
Hockey's in 2-hour drive away.
Now what?
I need a hobby. So I'm in Osan on the Google machine. Scary hobbies in Florida. Stand-up paddleboarding. Okay, I do that. That's that's relaxing, but it's not very scary.
I don't feel this is
It's not very terrifying. Yeah, maybe we have sharks, but whatever. Minor details.
fine.
Scuba diving. Okay, that looks cool, but
Not super extreme.
not super excited. Well, then I see this video of a dude on what I thought was a wakeboard with this massive kite attached to him, and he's doing 30-foot airs. I'm like, oh, what is that? I want to do that immediately. It's called kite surfing or kiteboarding, however you want to say it, and it comes from windsurfing and all that stuff. So I get down here, I start looking into it. I'm like, wow, that's really expensive. I can't afford that right now. So after going through a lot of kind of mental challenges with the assignment, the kid, and all that stuff, I got out the old credit card machine and I got my first setup.
Charge it.
And I'm reading everywhere. You got to take lessons. Take lessons. I'm like, I'm not taking lessons. You're out of your damn mind. Well, then I'm like, you know what, man? Let me take a lesson. Let this dude show me the basics. Humbled, dude. Humbled. Walking down the beach in a full wetsuit. It's the learning wetsuit. It's a practice wetsuit that all the guys use. So it's been probably peed in 100 times.
Oh yeah.
And I'm defeated. I'm like, man, I'm never gonna get this. This sucks. I hate my life. But I kept at it, and it is the coolest thing I've ever wanted to do in my entire life. I mean, I'm gonna be 48 weeks, dude.
Yeah.
Oh. But now, man, I ride whenever possible, and I've ridden over sharks. I've seen dolphins up close. I even learned how to do a hydrofoil board. So I like to share my experiences, and like I think it's so cool. And knowing this idiot, I'm like, this guy will
He'll
do
say
it.
yes.
He will absolutely do this. So we've been talking about it for a while, and we're going to do it in the summer. And I'm like, hey, man, let's take the girls to the beach. There's a little wind forecasted. I want to see if we can get you hooked in and let you, feel the kite in the sky, because I think you've jumped out of airplanes, haven't you, I think? Yeah, so yeah, it's an Army thing. You guys all do it.
Yeah, we all do. It's fine.
It's fine. I noticed I do that. So I take him down the beach, and I rode down the beach. He walked down with the girls, and he's got my harness on, which I didn't realize I didn't tell him how to put on. So I got my kite in the sky, and we're out in the water. I'm showing him how it works, and I finally put the kite on him, and he's doing real good. And I'm holding on to the back of his harness. He's moving. All of a sudden, off he goes, and he's airborne. And the kite's spinning in the air. He punches out, and he plops up and stands up out of the water. He's got this big Satan grin on his face. He's like, "I'm all right. I'm good. I'm not dead. I'm not dead. Let me take that from you, and we're going to call this a day, and we're going to attempt this at a later date."
In fairness, in my mind,
Yes.
before, right as we're getting set up, it's great when the kite's doing exactly what you want it to do.
Oh, yes.
Like, you're like, cool, I got this.
this.
Like, okay, a little more. Yep, got it. It's when the kite does what you don't want it to do that becomes the problem. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm a pilot.
Yep.
This should, theoretically, I should be able to control this because I can see what's happening and make corrections.
Wrong.
Completely wrong.
Completely wrong. Completely wrong.
Absolutely not correct.
No, absolutely incorrect.
No, yeah, it was bad.
Yes.
It was bad, but it was super fun, and the thing that was the most fun about it, honestly, was the point when it didn't go right. Which sounds crazy, but...
Dude, when I saw the bottom of your feet airborne, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, when it doesn't go right, now I'm, like, getting pulled as I'm, like, reaching for the little belt safety thing. I'm like, this is actually pretty cool. Like, if this is the worst sort of thing that can happen based on the things I've seen so far, it's pretty cool.
And we're going to work on it this summer. When it gets warmer out, you don't need to wear wetsuit and stuff like that, we're going to work on it, and you're going to get it, dude. You're like, I'm in trouble because now I have a new hobby, and the new hobby is... expensive, addicting, and everybody who does it is super cool people. Most of them retired military, current military,
and the good news is, like, based off of day one, I can really only go up.
Fair enough. That's why I looked at it too for me.
Yeah.
So
like, when you're terrible, the ceiling is so high. It's great.
Day 2 of me kiteboarding ever, I thought I can do it by myself after my lesson, and my now friend Roger, who owns one of the biggest kite shops in town, pulled over on the beach to talk to me. He's like, hey man, I just wanted to talk to you about what you're doing and see if you need help. I got more lessons.
Yeah, this is my way of telling you you're not ready.
Yeah. And it's awesome.
And it's kind of a funny segue into the discussion of kind of what we've touched on a whole bunch already is Army versus Air Force.
How about everybody else versus Air Force?
Yeah, pretty much. Except the Coasties, they're their own thing. And Space Force, who does absolutely, I don't know what they do yet.
So, quick question.
Yes.
There's a Marine Corps ball. There's an Air Force ball. Is there an Army ball? There's an Army ball, right?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does the Space Force have?
Spaceballs. I love that movie.
Very childish. Very childish.
It's not the best Mel Brooks movie ever, but it's on the list.
It's up there.
It's on the list. Yeah,
It's up there.
It's definitely up there. You know, I think the thing that's funny about that is the differences between the services, especially having been in both. You know, where crazy enough to have done Air Force and then Army. It's amazing to see the difference because I know I knew better, but
I got fair enough.
We got to fly. Got to fly.
You got to fly.
The big difference that I saw between the two is the Air Force does such a good job of, in a lot of ways, shedding away the dumb crap that the Army is completely content to go forward with. Like we were talking about PT, for instance. Mm-hmm. The Army has tried to make more of a functional PT program, but for the longest time, we're doing exercises that make absolutely no sense when it comes to making me better at my job.
You think the Air Force doesn't do that?
No. I know they do, but like the Army puts such an emphasis on the stupidity of the workouts that we're doing and how it will. Like, I'm a pilot. I don't need to be putting on a 60-pound rucksack and walking around the airfield for 4.5 hours.
Unless you crash in the middle of the desert and you need to carry your buddy to safety. See, there you go. They were right, you were wrong.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, supposedly they're right and I'm wrong. I guess. But, you know, the thing I think that I noticed the most in terms of the difference between Army and Air Force is the Army almost relishes how much stuff sucks.
Yeah.
Where the Air Force, you know, like we were like, hey, yeah, it's cold. I don't want to be out there. I'm not interested in that. I don't need to be out there. And the Army's like, oh, it's terrible. It's raining. Let's go train.
Oh, see, the difference is when it comes to training and stuff like that, when it comes, like I said, my world's flight line, the Air Force has that exact mentality when it comes to flying airplanes because the only thing that matters in the Air Force is sorties and PT. You have to fly sorties to say we flew sorties and have to flew because we said we're going to fly 300 sorties this week, this month, we're going to fly 300 sorties. If we don't fly 300 sorties, we're in trouble and the colonel gets in trouble and we're all mad. Oh, it's snowing out today. Hill Air Force Base. It snows there occasionally. A lot. They would tell us, I remember the time they told us we're going to tow the airplanes to the end of the runway because that's the only place that has no snow on it right now, and that's where we're going to fly from. So me being in charge of maintenance at that time and scheduling and making all that happen, we call those reindeer games. So,
yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So let me get this little book out called a technical order that is signed by the Secretary of the Air Force, and it says I have this much time to prepare to tow an airplane and to get the airplane towed because this is the most ridiculous thing I've heard in my time. Step 1, remove covers. Go remove the covers off the airplane. Good, check. They're all okay. Step 2, connect. So I remember watching the senior enlisted at the time and the maintenance commander staring at us in their truck of heat, watching this all go down, furious. Because there's nothing they can say. This is dumb. It is unsafe. But you all want to fly to say you flew basic flight maneuvers, BFM, around the flagpole, so you need a tick mark on the board we all walk into. I had a captain at here at Eglin in the Panhandle who would brief us every Friday with the F-35 program how many sorties we flew. And the program was new. We had 6 airplanes. And I finally told them one day, I said, sir, these people don't give a shit how many planes we fly. That's their job. We fly airplanes. We don't care you flew 12 versus 10 versus 13. I could care less. Why don't you tell the guys and gals what they did to make the program better? I don't care how many sorties I flew. So yeah, the Air Force mentality, I think each service has their own ridiculousness of thought process when it comes to certain things. You know, the Air Force PT, it's ridiculous. You run a mile and a half, you do some sit-ups, you do some push-ups, you get 100% on all that, but you got a big belly, you fail. I'm sorry, come again?
Yeah. Being 6'5", I used to get taped every single time.
Yeah.
Every single time they're like, "Oh, you're 220. You don't meet the no, we got to tape you." And it's like,
I'm fact.
For what?
Yeah, very skinny. We're like a 33 jeans. 32 jeans.
Fair enough. I guess my 32, 34s are not going to meet the Army specifications for aviators this year. The Army's a lot like that because we will go do these validation exercises. You know, they want to validate the ideas that we have by taking aviators and putting us in those situations. So they send us to this validation exercise that it's in the simulators because doing it in real life would be completely insane. So we're not going to do it.
Okay.
Mountainous environment, overcast skies. How are we going to evade enemy air defenses in the Chinook? And we ran these exercises, and the exercises resulted in 2 things: shot down, crashed into mountains.
Sounds about right.
Because they wanted to validate that they could find a way out of these things. But there was no way out. It's like, okay, so how do you avoid mountains? You climb. Guess what's up there? Missiles.
Yep.
Okay, cool. You got shot down. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay low because I don't want to get shot down. So I try to avoid, but I'm in the clouds. I fly into a mountain.
Fair enough.
So we went to the after action report, and they're like, guys, this is completely unacceptable. We need to come up with some way to make this happen. And they were like, Chief, what do you think? And I'm like, I think we're all dead. Every single time, we're all dead.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way this is successful in any format whatsoever. Like, we're all dead regardless. Why don't you guys do this again? But first, send in, like, jets and stuff to blow up missiles. Like, I can't do this mission. It's not, I would say no and not go.
Yeah.
But then it's that same sort of mindset where they, you know, they have that mentality where it's like, well, here's the blocks we need checked. We need you to make this happen.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but I can't. Like, you're dumb. This isn't happening.
Yeah.
And they didn't really like that answer.
So let me ask you a question. So you served in the Army and the Air Force. Compare and contrast. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oddly enough, and maybe it could possibly because I went through Air Force Basic at 18 and Army Basic at 23.
Oof.
Yeah. I actually thought Air Force Basic was more difficult.
Really?
Honestly. Now, I mean, of course, there wasn't the shooting piece.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in the Army, we qualify and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
Spent a lot more time with rifles and doing that stuff. But I actually found just the technical aspects of Air Force to be a lot more difficult. The stress level, oddly enough, I feel like was a lot more cranked up. Where with
You think maybe because it's a shorter period?
I think so. And, you know, with Air Force, you know, the instructors would walk in there, hey, you have 20 seconds to be downstairs.
Yeah.
And then everybody would just grab all your stuff and take off running full speed.
Yeah.
And in Army, they're just like, hey, downstairs now, let's go. And you just be like, okay, cool, grab my stuff and go. So, I mean, there was something to be said for just the continuous stress and pressure that they would continue to apply and apply and apply that I just never felt in Army Basic.
Interesting.
In terms of the actual service itself, the Army was definitely tougher.
Yeah, I can see that.
Between deployment schedule and training for deployments, you know, with going to JRTC and NTC, you know, JRTC's at Fort Polk in Louisiana, which is just
Hell yeah.
just not
So
it's
nice.
It's not great.
So nice.
Not great. The thing that's funny about it is that place was created in the 50s to prepare for Vietnam. So we go there and it's like, I'm going to Afghanistan.
It's not Vietnam.
So why am I training in
trees
the
and swamps?
jungle and stuff? But NTC was perfect for that because, you know, I mean, it's not far from Edwards.
Oh, okay.
You know, I mean, you're talking like 70 miles southeast of Edwards. So, I mean, we're straight up desert. So that was, and especially as a young aviator, where that was my first duty station, I learned a lot of stuff for Afghanistan being stationed there. So
see,
that
we
was
would,
super cool.
like the Air Force guys, when we would get spun up in the bucket to go downrange, we would start going TDY to, because I guess so the pilots can get a relation with the JTACs on the ground. I guess when they went overseas, they kind of went together as a package. They actually knew each other. But like, you know, we would go TDY to like Barksdale and you know some other spots like that. Nothing terrible, but you know, I think each service serves their role the way a role that I would want to serve personally. I mean, that's just, you know, it's not me. There's other guys and gals who do all that stuff. But when I went to Iraq, I went on the ADVON team. So I was there with a handful of us. We were like the second F-16 unit in Iraq. I took over for a bunch of guard units. And I remember I was outside the DFAC, and I haven't been around the Army really at all. I mean, mind you, think about it. I've been, Arizona, Korea, Thunderbirds, and now I'm in an operational unit. So my interaction with the Army is very limited. Like, I'm still looking at your little bitty chevrons, trying to figure out who's what. And, you know, we have giant stripes. It's easy. Oh, look at all the stripes. I know he's a this, that, or she's a this, that. Army, like, I don't know who that is. Is that a pineapple in the middle? Oh, God, I'm in trouble. But I'm in line. Yeah, well, that's the other guys. I'm in lines. It's not a pineapple.
It's fine.
Someone's gonna beat you for that one. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. But I'm in line at the DFAC, and there was a staff sergeant and a sergeant in front of me. I just started talking to them. So that's what I do. I was like, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" And they're like, "Hello," because everybody hates the Air Force. And I'm like, "So, how long have you guys been here?" I'm like, "Oh, we've been here like 9 months." I'm like, "Oof." And they said something like, "But we get to go home." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." And then we would come back. We only got 6 more months to go. I'm like,
Ugh.
She's like, how long are you here for? I'm like, I don't know, like 6, 7 months. And they're like, oh, then you need to go home and come back. I'm like, no.
No.
That's it. And you can
For
see
sure.
their soul leaving their body, like, nuh-uh.
What's the morale drink?
This is it.
Yeah.
And they're like, so when you got to come back? I'm like, well, you know, the next bucket comes up in like a year or so. I could do Homeland Security, maybe here. It's all up to, we did Homeland Security over, we flew over Bush's house a bunch and up and down the California. I didn't have to go back over there for that one. But, you know, you look at all the branches and some of the shit that they go through and some of the stuff they do. You know, in Iraq, you know, just like, well, your deployments, a couple of things really stand out to me. I didn't kick down doors. I didn't go running through the streets. I had a gun for 2 weeks, and I had to put tape over my clips so the bullets didn't fall so I didn't get in trouble. I mean, really, that's really how it is.
Yeah.
You know, LSA Anaconda, Balad, it's huge. And if it came to me having to fire a weapon, and granted, you know, our HAZs, the hardened aircraft shelters, butted up right to that fence. You know, you've seen that fence. It's ridiculous.
Yep, the fence.
Yeah. Well, when I was in, it was just an army guy in a turret up there. They didn't have the whole fancy air defense thing. Some poor bastard up there in a 60. They'd fire mortars, and he just...
Yep.
You know, everyone's one. But when you come onto the flight line, the first HAZ on your left was, at the time, she'll talk about it, was the convoy HAZ. And back then, everybody was tack welding shit to the old school Humvees. There wasn't those fancy big ones we see today. And these were kids, man. They were 18 to 20-year-old kids from what I could see. And you drive by every day, they're playing grab ass like we do, playing football and, you know, just acting like idiots. But when it was go time and we'd see them all formed up, it was a gut punch, because it's like, wow, those dudes are going to go outside the wire in their basically homemade Humvees, and some of them might not come back. And that, to me, was the first, like, holy crap, this is real. You know, even when, you know, the base was hit every day. We saw rockets coming on base. And I got to tell you my Kuwait story I just remembered. Was it Kuwait? Either way. Don't forget that.
Yeah.
That, for me, was the first, wow, this is real. Seeing those dudes roll out. And they always told us, you know, we're driving around on base, if you happen to drive, when you see the convoys, get the you-know-what out of their way, because they're not stopping.
Nope.
They are not stopping. And even remember, they would set on the back of the convoys, basically back up, or you will be killed. You will be shot and killed. But backstory, so again, Air Force guy, Air Force mechanic, never went downtown, never kicked indoors, never, thankfully, fired a gun at anybody. I'm in Kuwait. You get to Kuwait, you know, cupcake base. It's, you know, before you go to the desert, you stop in there, and you go to the big top, you get your 3 beers, and, you know, whatever.
Go through the McDonald's.
Yes. So this was in December 2004. We went into billeting, the base hotel. You know, well, it's a hotel. It's a trailer with mattresses in it, and they assign you to an actual bed. There's 2 bunk beds in this little ass room we went into. It should have been 4 of us in that room, but for some reason it was only 3 of us. So I remember walked in. I took the bed on the right, on the bottom. My buddy took the bed on the top, on the right side, and some other guy happened to hop on the top bunk. No one on the bottom bunk. I get to Iraq 2 days later. My E7 first sergeant comes by and says, "Get in the truck." And it's, remember the little 4-door Haji Mobiles over there?
Yeah.
You had to sit sideways because you couldn't fit in the back seat. There's no
not built. No.
So it's my first sergeant who's incoming, and the outgoing first sergeant, I don't know, and me in the back, and we're just driving. I said, "Hey, Shirt, what's up?" And they wouldn't talk to me. Wouldn't say a word. I asked several times, like, "What's going on? Where are we going?" And finally I said, "Is my family okay?" I was at the time just married to my ex-wife. And they said, your wife is fine. Like, okay, we pull up in front of we pull up in front of the SP building, the police building. They take me inside. They take me into a room. There's 2 OSI agents in there, and 2 security forces troops in there, and somebody else. Did you go to Kuwait Air Base? Whatever the deal was. Said, yeah, I rotated in there with my ADVOM team. Blah 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 blah. Why? What's up? Did you stay in room whatever? I said, yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure I was in that room. Were you assigned to bed, whatever the number was, and it was that empty bed on the bottom I talked about? I said, I think so. Where did you sleep? I said, I walked in the room, I threw my crap on the floor, and I plopped down on the bed on the right because no one was in it. You know, you were up for like 25 hours flying on that damn thing. Yep. They said, did you ever go to the bed on the left and touch it? I'm like, no. I was there for like a day and a half, 2 days, whatever. And this went round and round and round and round. After after we left, they found, I think it was 3 or 4 daggers in the mattress pointing straight up.
Holy
that
crap,
you couldn't
man.
see, and it was designed. You know how you get to the you
just
fall
drop
on,
your stuff and boom.
and they wanted to make sure I didn't do it.
Holy crap, man!
That was my bed. Luck of the draw. I went to the right bed. I just plopped on the right side because I'm not. Oh, that's my bed. I'm tired. I want to lay on a bed, and I literally fell onto that bed and went to sleep or laid there. So that was the first eye-opening event for me over there. Well, I say I'm going to mess up the numbers, but so I'm like they figured out I had nothing to do with it, obviously.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we're going to call you first sergeant, and they'll come get you. I said, what do I do? I don't. Where do I? I don't know what to do with my hands. What do I do? They said, just go outside and sit down, and your shirt will be here in a minute. I said, okay, cool. So I go outside, I'm sitting down, I got my back against, the bollards, the concrete block, but it's a short one. And the building had a big window on it. And I remember, it's funny the shit you laugh about now. I looked down the road and I saw like a streak go down by the fire. And all of a sudden, the window bows and the explosion goes off. Nowhere near me.
Yeah. Well, time to go.
What do I do? What do I do? It's like, around the building, and I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like,
I don't know.
you survived the attack. Sit down and wait for your first sergeant, idiot.
Congrats, you're fine.
Congrats, you're fine, genius. But the second thing that really stood out to me was the Cadillacs, the shitters. Everybody has their routines. I got 2 Cadillac stories. They're not that creepy. First one,
Not that
creepy. They're a little creepy, but so everybody's been to the gym, and there's always a naked guy there.
Yep.
There's always that one dude,
Every time.
and if one of you watching is naked guy, put a towel on.
At least.
Everybody
something.
appreciates you putting a towel on.
Something.
Do not shave naked, which I saw in Iraq.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
not
that's the thing.
go to the urinal naked and barefoot. That's just gross and rude.
Even worse.
That's gross.
Even worse.
And don't talk to me naked. I don't want to talk to you naked. I don't
No.
want to talk to you naked.
Eyes up here, buddy.
Eyes here. Put your business away. It's gross. Nobody wants to see it.
No.
I walk into the Cadillac one day. There are 3 dudes in there, stark raving naked, chest bumping, running around, chest
Yeah,
bumping,
no.
hugging,
Unacceptable.
going nuts.
Air Force guys.
Nope.
What?
Marines.
Oh.
Do you know why?
Why?
We had hot water.
That's hardcore, man.
They did not have
I
a
respect
shower.
that.
Plug them off. And we had hot water.
We had a lot of days without water, and I mean, I don't know that.
I don't know if I would be into that either, but I also don't know what they had seen. They could have seen, it was 04, 05. That was a bad
Yeah.
time to be out and
We,
about for those guys.
We'd been in Afghanistan for probably 2 weeks. We had just gotten online to be operational.
Yeah.
And I went to the dining facility, which was not far from the front gate. And they call it the boneyard. Was right next to the front gate, and the boneyard was where they would recover vehicles that were destroyed.
DRMO.
Yeah.
Yep.
And have just a Humvee with a full front quarter panel blown
Yeah.
off, and then the glass would be spidered,
Yeah.
and the entire inside was bright red.
Yep.
And just a total nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, I would walk by there every time and just be like, "This is
Yeah.
hideous.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with. Like, this is not the word I signed up for, And one of these days, I ran into one of the Ranger guys that we flew pretty significantly. I mean, I knew this guy by his actual first name.
Yeah.
Pretty significantly. And, we'd go to briefings with these guys, and I ran into him as we were going to eat. And he was like, "What's up, Chief?" And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" As I'm looking at these, like, blown up, IMTVs and Humvees and all this American power
I vividly could see it. In my
blown
head.
up. And he was like, "You know what's cool?" I'm like, "What? What?
Yeah.
What's cool?" He's like, "We ride with you, so I don't have to do that crap."
Oof.
And yeah, it was just stabbed me in
Yeah.
the heart, man.
Yeah.
Like that, just the ability to. I mean, this
Yeah.
guy's, he's a pipe hitter. Like, this is a hardcore
Yeah.
dude that has no problem busting into somebody's house at 3 a.m.
Right.
and dragging him out. And he's like, "Dude, you're the lifeline. Like, I'm
wanna do
glad
that.
we ride with you
Yeah.
because I don't want to do that
Yeah.
crap." Like, for me, that was the watershed moment of the deployment where, you had a lot of different facets. There were guys who liked to
Yeah.
do DA, which is the direct action missions, which were, hey,
Yeah.
bad guys over here, we're going to load up dudes and go to where he is. And then option B, which were guys like, they were called GS, General Support, which is like, hey, if you need to get to Anaconda and you're at whatever, we'll land at the base, pick you up, and we'll fly you over
Yeah.
there. We're a flying school bus.
Yeah.
And that was the day where I decided, like, dude, I'm going to do as many direct action missions as I can, because these dudes, they need a ride.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm a Chinook guy, and there's a lot of people who look at Chinooks and they're like, meh. But that was the moment where I was like, ooh,
Yeah.
you know, okay, cool. Anytime you guys want to
This
go,
matters.
got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the deal. And I think those are the guys that kind of segueing to one of the things I definitely want to talk to you about is you look at what we're facing from our near peer and peer enemies today,
Yeah.
and what they're bringing to the table. I feel like it's those guys that would carry us through a peer-peer war
Right.
against the sort of enemies that we would be facing either. Because, I mean, let's be honest, with what you're looking at with Russia right now, like, they're having a tough time with Ukraine.
Yeah.
I read an article today that now 2 of those Terminator BMPs, the ones that are supposed to be their, like, top fighting vehicle
Yeah.
thing, whatever you want, the hybrid thing,
Yeah.
have been destroyed in 48 hours of their employment. So I feel like Russia, while they would give us trouble, maybe, they're not really the real enemy anymore. And with the real enemy being, what
Other
if
countries.
another country to their southeast who may not really like us, who we have a trade problem with,
Yes.
being China, of course, but with what we're doing with Ukraine, we've really pissed off Russia to the point that we're in kind of a de facto Cold War with them,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Because
I think so.
we're dropping off M1 Abrams tanks now, where we're like, hey, go get them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Vietnam-esque,
Yeah.
you know, where, granted, we're not like giving them drivers and loaders and saying, hey, yeah, you guys go ahead and fight this. You're going to wear a Ukrainian uniform, but you're actually American, you know, where there were
Yeah.
Russian MiG-15s.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what do you think about that, man? Like,
You know,
I don't know.
It's a tough question because there's so many opinions out there. Because you know, if it's on social media, it's true.
of course.
Everybody knows the exact answers.
It's
everybody
true.
everybody knows the truth because everybody sits in every briefing, and I certainly do not. All I can go off of is just my opinion, what I think I know,
Yeah, for sure.
and you know, everybody else seems to know the exact facts, and that's awesome. Good for you on social media that knows everything that I don't know. But I think you've got a combination of things over there. You've got a humanitarian crisis. It appears.
Yeah.
What I can gather. And the question is, what do you do? Do you do nothing? Do you do everything? Or do you help a little bit? And I don't know if I know the right answer. I don't know if I necessarily agree with sending unlimited funds and resources to the Ukraine to support that war. But I also don't see it being a bad thing to send some help and some aid. I would be probably opposed to putting American men and women's lives in jeopardy. You know, I don't think we need to be sending troops over there, but I think it's kind of a mess over there right now. And I think a positive, if there is anything positive from this is showing Russia's true hand. And by the way, I'm an idiot on this. I have no experience, no training.
Yeah.
I am just, you know, I get all my news from Twitter. So
Same place we all get it from. I read an article that they received a shipment of T-34s in the event that they may need them.
T-34s?
So
I'm unfamiliar with the T-34.
here's kind of my thought on T-34. So T-34 is the tank that pushed
Oh, you're
back
talking
the
tank.
Nazis.
See, I'm thinking airplane.
No,
T-38s and
we're
T-30
talking
and
T-34
okay.
as in airplane that pushed back, or a tank that pushed back the Nazis.
Oh.
Yes. So that kind of begs the question of like, with China, I think we still have a ton of unknowns when it comes to what they have, because a lot of their stuff kind of looks like American stuff, but from Wish. You know, where they've got a Black Hawk, which looks 99% Black Hawk-ish. They've got
F-35.
F-35-ish. They've got Abrams-ish. Like, but the question is, when you know, it looks great. I mean, you know, you can look at from our perspective the number of airframes we've had, and you know, your father's airframe would be one of them to consider. The F-111 was supposed to
Canyon.
be, F-111 was going to be a world beater. You know what I mean? It was supposed to be the low-level penetration, drop the nuke, and get us the heck out of there beast. And there's other airframes where, you know, that was going to be, the F-104 is another great example where the Starfighter was supposed to be the aircraft that was going to shoot down every Russian jet in the inventory. I think we killed more Americans with the F-104 than the Soviets did. Not great. So I kind of wonder, what do you think? I mean, do you think it's more of a likelihood that the J-10s and all these jets and all these great things that they say they have are in fact the degraded version, or do you just mere personal thoughts think
I think it's a big unknown right now.
Yeah.
I think, I hope, and I think we are. The United States, in my opinion, Scott's opinion, has some catching up to do. I think we have some insanely innovative weapons and aircraft and all that other good stuff out there, but we need to really start paying attention.
Yeah.
We really need to start paying attention because it concerns me personally with what some of the other countries in Asia are doing with their inventory, with their weapon systems. And, for all me and there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that we just don't talk about. But when it comes to, let's say, China, whew, delete your TikTok now, folks.
And you look at the recruiting deficits that our militaries are admitting that they have.
So how do you solve that? There's a good question, sir. How do you solve that? It's different generations. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a new generation. If you think about it, though, from our grandparents who were known as the greatest generation, to our parents' generation, who was the Vietnam, Korea War era, to our generation, Middle East conflicts. Now we have a new generation. Each generation probably said the same thing about they're using them cellular phones. Those are ridiculous, and they're doing this and they're doing that. I literally, before I came over here, finished watching the last episode of Band of Brothers for the 18th time, and I could not do what they did.
No.
Last week I watched All's Quiet on the Western Front. Are you kidding me?
Not happening.
No. But think about the generation that fought in World War I. Looking at the generation that fought in later aspects of World War II, the ones that didn't go for both wars. Oh my God. And then think about those guys who did Korea and Vietnam and on and on and on. There's going to be a different opinion about each generation as we go on. But with this newer generation, I'm not so sure what the answer is. How do we convince somebody to join the military? You're going to go to a base that you didn't choose. You're going to do a job you didn't choose. Because right now you have to choose 8 jobs for the Air Force as a recruiter. And that number may have changed. So don't quote me on it. But the last I heard, it was 8 jobs. So I didn't want to do 8 jobs when I enlisted in the Air Force. I wanted to fix airplanes. That's it.
I want to do what I want to do.
I didn't want to be security forces. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to fix airplanes. And if I put that as number 1, and you said, well, you put number 7 as, I don't know, low observatory or sheet metal, and that's what we're giving you, well, you put it on the list. I don't want to do that. I want to fix airplanes. So how do we convince this new generation that the military is a worthwhile cause? We have a suicide problem. We have a retention problem. We have the gauntlet of problems that these kids these days are dealing with that we didn't have. We didn't have social media. No. We didn't. We didn't have, the minute someone posts something on social media, it's truth because I said it. And the whole high school knows about it. The whole squadron knows about it. Everybody knows about it. That Justin does X, Y, and Z because I said it's true. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't know what the answer is. And I'm glad I'm not in a position that has to make those decisions because, holy shit.
Yeah, just total not. I mean, I think one of the aspects that has to be worked out is money.
Yes.
I mean, you consider what enlisted wise, our lower enlisted make when it comes to it's nothing.
Poverty.
I mean, they make nothing. It's total garbage.
As long as you don't buy a Camaro at 28% interest rate, you'll be doing okay.
Yeah.
Get yourself a Civic or something.
Just start easy. It's fine. Build up your bank.
Because I've made outstanding financial decisions my time.
Yeah,
you know this. You've been on my book. You've been on my book.
I think that's tier number 1 is put them in a position where it's not just a wage. Yeah. It is what you could consider a living wage. Living in the barracks and eating in the chow hall every single day because you can't afford to go anywhere else. That's not an enticing thing for younger generations whatsoever.
Now, if I am 19 years old, it's my first time out of the house, and I'm now in the military, am I ready for an apartment or a house? I think you should. So there's certain things I agree with. Yeah. I do believe you should be in the, now if you're married, it's a different story. I do believe you should be in the dorms for a little while. Let's at least let you get out of the house a little bit. We'll give you
not
some,
live with mom and dad.
Yeah, we'll give you some chow hall food. You don't have to worry about all the figure out bills, but you can't be paying these kids money.
$18,000, $20,000
give them a little bit of money so they can have a little something in their check. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, because I know you've gotten a clothing allowance or 2 in your career. Did you save it?
No.
Did you use it on clothing?
No.
No, absolutely not. So whether you pay me $600 a paycheck or $1,000 a paycheck, I may not do the smartest things with you. At least give me that option. Please give me the option.
At a minimum.
Of not being poor. You remember going to the ATM machine? You're like, $20. We're going out tonight.
$20.
Going to A-Town. I got $20.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's just the bare minimum starting point. Yeah. I think the next step should be legitimate career enhancement and education.
Okay, I like it.
where you look at your options as an airman or as a private.
Right.
There are schools the Army will send you to, but are there schools they will send you to that will help you further your career if your MOS is not necessarily what you want to do when you get out? I mean,
I like it.
take for instance, like we were talking about the cybersecurity being the fifth pillar of warfare. We're like, this is the next step. This is the next step.
It really is.
If you're turning wrenches on engines, but when you get out, what you want to do is cybersecurity. Is the Air Force prepared to spend money on that? No.
So, devil's advocate.
Yeah.
If you're an engine troop in the Air Force or the Army or whatever branch, and I give you all this money to go to school for a separate career field, now you're getting out.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now we got a problem. But that's the thing is, I mean,
So maybe we look at different ways to allow our young military to transition into a different career field. They say they offer it, but then you go into the whole critical man career
Oh, yeah.
field. So my career field is always critically manned, and a lot of folks come in like, you know what, dude, being on the flight line sucks. It's awful out here. I want to go do a medical job or whatever job, and they're like, well, we're critically manned, you can't leave. And then they get out.
I mean, you could consider offering airframe power plant.
That would be a very good idea. Because a
Man,
lot of us,
you talk about making money.
because I'm qualified to take my A&P based off of my career field,
Yeah.
but I have to pay. So if while in the military, and you
Air
may
Force
be able to
Banquet.
do that, but I never really looked into it. So if it's out there, my bad.
And that's part of the problem here. The Army does that for us as pilots. At Fort Rucker, there is a course you can go take, and I mean it's high air quotes, like where basically you get your commercial pilot's license just because you graduated from Army Flight School.
That says a lot about Spirit Airlines.
It does.
It really
it
does.
does. Southwest too, because Southwest was started by Army aviators.
Couple
Got some problems there.
Thunderbird pilots that used to be on the team with me, or Southwest pilots now.
Yeah, I'll fly with them.
Absolutely.
It'll be fun.
Be fun. Be fun. Be fun.
But that's the thing is, I mean, what are they going to do to influence these generations to sign up, sign them dotted line? Because obviously, I think when you look at whatever media source you follow the most, being a patriot is not really a thing anymore. Like there's all this discussion of nationalism and a negative connotation that you have to come up with some secondary way to convince these people to sign up. And money's a great way, and career is a great way.
Yeah.
So aside from the people who are just drawn like we were, because I mean, dude, I was drawn. Man, I saw Top Gun in like 1986. The hook was in, man. I'm
Dangerous.
Done. Yeah. Done. I'm good to go. So.
You heard my story. A little different.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I need a job.
Yeah. And you know
But
what?
again, I stayed for 23 years.
And my path coming back was not one that I would have expected.
Yeah.
I mean, because I used the GI Bill and went to school.
Right.
And when the recruiter was there to get my brother, I just saw him watching a documentary about helicopters, and he was like, "Hey, man, what would it take for you to get back in the military?" I'm like, "Nothing." and yeah, no, I've done this thing. I'm not interested.
No, thank you.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Dude, if you can give me one of those," and it just happened to be a Chinook just whipping by, and he's like, "I can do that." I'm like,
Yeah, right.
Like, great. Like,
Sure.
I already believed the lie once. Like, I believe you
Yeah.
can make me an F-15 pilot, and I signed up to be an enlisted.
They're in a foxhole.
Yeah, great, outstanding. Yeah, I don't believe you. And in my contract, it was like 154 Alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to warrant officer school.
That's right. Remember you telling me that?
Yeah. I mean, it was in my contract. And
You know, that's now that we're talking about this. I mean to cut you off. That kind of makes a lot of sense, actually. So, what if instead of making it such a broad spectrum of you have to choose 300 jobs, if you wanted to be a Chinook pilot, well, I understand you have to qualify for that actual airframe, but you wanted to be a warrant aviator, you had that contract. What if I went into the military and I had maybe 3 choices?
yeah.
Why make it so broad? Why give these folks a chance? You know, some people don't want to work on the flight line. Some people don't want to work on helicopters. They want to work in the medical world. You know what? I want to be in the dental world. I want to do this. I want to do that. Awesome. And you know what? You may have to wait a year, but you're still getting the job you want instead of a job you have to do. Now I get it. People are going to come back and say, "Oh, but you should serve. You should serve. You should serve." I got it.
Yeah.
Cool. That only goes so far. I mean, at some point, you've got to enjoy what you do to come to work every day, and not be a butthole to all your, everybody works around you.
Look at this last year's retention. They're 1,500 F-22 pilots short in the pipeline.
Wow.
In the pipeline, 1,500 short. some of the best aviators I've known in my entire career started off as enlisted guys.
Yeah.
A friend of mine that started off as an enlisted guy in the E6, I think, transferred over to the warrant program. He's now the chief of the branch for Chinooks.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, why not see about maybe easing some of the restrictions when it comes to, you know, in your world, the blue to gold program, and in my world, the green to gold program, where we open it up where maybe it doesn't have to be, you know, an Air Force Academy grad that gets the opportunity to move into some of these airframes. Like, would you rather have a high-speed E6 who becomes a lieutenant and now this guy gets to run an F-22? Or would you rather have an F-22 sitting on the ground that we have nobody to fly?
So the options are still there. However, you want to fly, you go to the academy. So in any given year, we would have, and I'm going to give you just an estimation, let's say 1,000 graduates a year. 500 to 600 of them are getting rated slots. And we're talking rated anything from backseat whizzos to flying something to a drone operator. So if you really want to fly, you're guaranteed to go to the academy and do your thing. Now they have to earn all the airframes as they go through all the pilot training and UPT and all that good stuff. But and your ROTC programs, ROTC guys and gals have a lot less rated slots available to them. My question is, and this has been a hot topic of discussion in the Air Force for the last 50 years, warrant officers in the Air Force.
Bring them.
Which is funny because I would say most of us enlisted folks say absolutely, absolutely. But there's a continual back push from the other side of the aisle that we can't have that. I wish like hell they had it.
My thought on that, and of course, biased as a warrant. The thing that is so bitter for people that have warrants is, I mean, you know, as a senior NCO, you have the same problems, and I'm sure the officers do as well. Your job isn't just to do your one job. You're tasked out for all these other things. And as officers, you know, the lieutenants and the captains, they have all these secondary functions they have to perform, where there's a guy who's literally the urinalysis officer, where his entire job is to manage people peeing. This is a pilot who's got millions of dollars of training, whose entire secondary job is.
So my question is, does he have a badge above his wings?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a guy holding his wiener. It's just a little, but that's the great thing about being a warrant.
Yeah.
My entire job was knowing my aircraft, knowing how to implement my aircraft, and knowing how to direct to the ground guys so that the mission will be completed. Because part of the problem you face is guys who don't know aviation, like you don't, and like I don't. They come in and they're like, here's what I want to do. I want an F-16 to go unfueled for 20,000 miles, drop 30,000 pounds of bombs, and return back to base on one tank of gas.
Sounds good.
Because they don't know. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't.
You're telling me about Iron Eagle, right?
Yeah, it's pretty much Iron Eagle. Yeah, we're gonna put an orange bomb on the bottom that's gonna burn the entire runway up. It'll be fine.
Rope ladder, launching missiles on the ground.
It's
good
fine.
stuff.
But that's the thing, is that they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So in order to have this mission come off the way you want, you would have to have somebody, perfect example, that could fill that gap and say, hey, I get you want to rescue your dad. You're going to need like 7 tankers, and you may want to recruit some more dudes because the Hades bomb isn't real.
No,
just so you know. Like, it's cool, it looks good, but a Mark 82 painted orange, it's still a Mark 82.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the warrant would fill in.
Yeah.
And I think you get a lot more people because the warrant program, as it starts, you don't have to have a college degree to get started.
Yeah, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the number of people who are out there that could be amazing pilots that don't have college degrees. I mean, there's tons of people out there doing amazing things.
Not even a pilot aspect, but you take a warrant and put them into an Air Force maintenance unit. So we have our young lieutenants in the maintenance units, and they're briefing, maintenance stand-up. And I'll never forget the lieutenant reading me her briefing and goes, "How did it sound?" And I looked at her and said, "Hey, LT, stop being a bleeping parrot. Why don't you figure out what that actually means?" And she looked at me, and I'm like, "I'm not kidding. Understand what you're saying." And I think that's where a warrant would fill that void, and then have the lieutenant hold his or her pocket and learn how to be a maintenance officer. But again,
because we get to put one foot in both worlds.
Yeah.
And it fills that gap.
I think there's a giant gap between the officers and the enlisted and the maintenance world, at least.
Sign me up. I'm in. I'll do it. I'll put the rank back on, man. I'm in.
Okay.
Roll over to Eglin.
So
Talk to you. You got to talk to.
So riddle me this. Would you do it again?
Yeah.
What would you have done differently? Ooh, tough questions.
Honestly,
Yeah.
no joke, man. I would do nothing differently. Being in the 82nd Airborne was pride of my life, man.
Yeah.
The coolest unit I've ever. The cool thing about the 82nd is with their roots being in jumping into Normandy and being a component of World War I, when it comes to the actual warfighting aspect of what we do, they had no time for BS, man. It was all about tempo and mission, and that's all that mattered.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Ask yourself, what would you do differently when it came to your time with the lovely Air Force?
Looking back on it, I think the different things that I would have done is sometimes how I conducted myself. And what I mean by that is I got wrapped around the mission at times. I always took care of my people to the best of my abilities. I remember I got yelled at on Halloween because I sent 2 young airmen home that had kids, separate families. I sent them home on Halloween, and my job was maintenance on the flight line, directing the maintenance, scheduling the maintenance, make sure the jets were ready for the next day at night. And I sent home these 2 young airmen to be with their families for their first Halloween with their kids. And my production superintendent ripped my butt up and down the flight line, and he literally said, "Those airplanes come first." I'm like, "Roger that, sir." But I remember one time before we went to Iraq, one of the guys walked off the flight line early to go to a meeting that they had with the spouses and families of all of us getting ready to roll down range. I ripped his butt so bad because I was like, what the blip is your problem? We got this and this and this and this and this, and he walked off the flight line, and we got into it in the hangar the next day, and he's like, "My wife is scared to death, and da 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 da," and I needed to be with her. I was like, "Yep, I get it, dude. I'm all that." So I wish I maybe have had a little bit more compassion to some of my guys and gals that worked. I say worked for me, worked with me. Assignment wise, there's not a whole lot I would have changed. I mean, I had a really badass career, and not because of what I did, but I got lucky with my assignments, and I got to see most of the United States, and I got to fly an F-16 3 times. I flew in a freaking B-23 or some shit, and a pit stunt plane over the wine fields of California, and I met President Bush a couple of times. It's it was a cool time. So, how about this one? What is your most vivid memory?
My most vivid memory would be
good, bad, or indifferent.
First time I actually got shot at.
Woo.
Yeah. We were going on an air assault, and under night vision goggles, when you get shot at, they're often using tracers. And I mean, it's just glowing beach ball, just kind of arcs its way up, and then right halfway goes whoop right past. And my mind was like, is that somebody trying to kill me right now?
What are you shooting at me? I'm just minding my business, flying around.
Wow,
I'm just flying around.
And then right when I think that, I see that one, and I'm like,
they're definitely shooting at me.
Oh, they're definitely shooting at me.
Shooting at me.
Oh yeah. My next thought was like, okay, you have to make a radio call in a second. Don't sound like a bitch. Because in my heart it's just like,
you're shooting. Hey, remember I'm gonna get you, sucker?
Yeah,
they shooting.
Yeah, and my heart is just like, boom, boom, and then it's like, boom, 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 and I'm like, oh, I'm getting shot at. So adrenaline goes through the roof, and I have to make this radio call announcing that we're being shot at, so the Apache guys will take a look where we're looking, and I'm like, Flipper 2 edge receiving fire, 3 o'clock low. I'm like, I did it. I did it. I sound like a man on the. This has happened before. This is not the first time.
Yeah, I'm not getting made fun of.
Yeah, I will not be made fun of when this. Because there's people that when they see that tracer go by, lose it.
Yeah.
And it goes high pitch, and they sound terrible. Because when we get back, we review the mission, and the Predator's above us, recording the entire thing. So we get back, and we're looking at this stuff, and there I am on the radio, like, hey, we're being shot from the right, and everybody's like, yeah. Nice. You responded correctly.
Well played, sir.
And meanwhile, I'm just like, oh my god.
I'm gonna go and cry my god.
There was that, and then the other memory that will live with me forever So we get back from a mission. We moved to this new base, and this fob was surrounded. It was in a bowl. I mean, we were surrounded by mountains. These dudes, Taliban could look down and shoot down into the
I'm
base.
watching Netflix shows about those places.
This was it. And you know, you were talking earlier about that couple of minutes you'd have with the family on Skype or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm on Skype with Lauren, and we only had Reese and Aylin at the time. Aylin was too small to know anything.
Yeah.
She was like a year and a half, maybe. Reese was like 4. And I'm talking to them, and we're just talking like, you know, how's everything going? Yeah, we went on a mission. Everything was fine, like you always say.
Yeah.
And then right then, the indirect fire alarm goes off, where it's like, incoming, incoming.
Yeah.
You know, the one's like, incoming, incoming.
My
And I'm
first
like,
phone call, my dad was like,
oh, yeah, it's bad. So I'm like,
I need to go.
honey, I'll be right back. And I'm just like, I'll be right back. And I got on the ground. Like, I'm in my room because I'm just hoping, like, if it's dead center, it's over. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, and I'm not going to make it to the bunker in time because the alarm's already going off.
Yeah.
And then I kind of hop back up, and she's like, what was that? I'm like,
Fireworks.
yeah, everything's fine.
We're good. Fine.
That was nothing. Everything's fine. Everything's great. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, my first phone call, my
everything's
dad.
great.
I'm at Iraq. I call my dad in a little morale tent, you know?
Oh,
And by the way, you Army folks hate us until you want to call home, or you want to work out, or you want to watch a movie.
makes sense.
The Air Force sucks until you want to do all this stuff. Anyway, so you know, I'm there one day and I call my dad, you know, Hill Air Force Base, all baseline please, and I'm calling my dad, and all of a sudden you hear the the mortars and the horn goes off. I'm like, I gotta go, I gotta go right now. It's like, what is that? I'm like, I gotta go right now. It's like, what is that? I gotta go. Like, grab my life. Shit, he's still there.
Yeah,
Crazy.
those are the two big that'll pretty much stick with me in general. I mean, there's a bunch of other ones, but those are the two where.
See, I've got a couple that stand out over the years, and the first one is slightly ridiculous. I have a thing about being barefoot in public.
All right.
I don't like it. I don't like being barefoot, like walking around like. So when I was in Korea, I went to a water park and I was walking around barefoot. I was horrified. Just the dirty, gross ass water. It scares me. But in Iraq, I had a routine. You gotta, it's so much fun walking to the bathroom in your freaking battle rattle.
Yeah.
So I got my manly Air Force PT gear on, which you've seen, and it's awesome. I got my flak vest on, I got my helmet on, I got my boots on, my knee-high socks, and I got my toiletries, you know? And I go in the Cadillac, and I open it up, nobody's in there. I'm like, whoa. This is like walking into a 5-star hotel. Nobody's in there.
There's not naked dudes
There's
in there.
no naked dudes, chest bumping. I have my choice of shower. So if you've never been in a Cadillac, it's basically a Conex trailer split in half. And what I mean by split in half, not like a wall, it's a split in half. There's sinks, shitters, 2 rows of showers with a bench on the center.
Yep.
So I go to the shower that I choose. I'm like, this looks like a good one. I take my foot out of boot, goes right into flip-flop. Immediately into flip-flop. I'm not touching that rubbery, grady, whatever that crap is on the ground.
Yeah, nope.
You know, the boot, right in the flip-flop. I take off my shirt and I take off my shorts and, again, right in the flip-flop. I'm not touching that ground. And for some reason, and it's a physics thing, and I took physics online, so I didn't really take real physics. When you turn on the water in those showers, the curtain does this, and it tries to get you. And that's gross.
Also not okay.
I got
also not okay.
So I place my 1 liter water bottle, which should not be in direct sunlight, with this pallets of it all over the base, and I put it right outside the curtain. So the curtain wraps around that and it can't get to me. So, and I get into the shower, I turn on the shower, I proceed to shower. No problem, right? So, a minute or two goes by, because let's be real, nobody takes a true combat shower at a base like that.
No,
I'm not taking an 8-second shower, you can kiss my ass, I'm taking a shower.
That's not happening.
I hear the door open. Some other dude walks in, where do you think he goes?
Right next to you.
Directly across from me.
Oh,
right
man.
across.
Yep.
So I'm like, really, dude? This is what you got to do. I'm in here enjoying my shower. I'm just like, you're just standing there in the hot water, like, I hate my life.
Thinking about your life choices.
I'm not even halfway here. I hate my life. I should stay in college. And I kind of glance over, and I see him doing the exact same routine as me. I'm like, right on, dude.
He gets it.
I feel you. Well, all of that changed in an instant. He opened the curtain up, turned on the shower, and stepped into that much pube water, barefoot. He kicked off his flippy flops and bloop, bloop, got in. The curtain wrapped around him. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm out. Oh, I'm out.
Wow.
Of all the shit stuff I've done, that sticks in my head. That dude with his feet submerged
no
in
sir.
gray water.
No, sir. Hard pass.
That was 25 years ago, probably, and I can still to this day see those feet under under the water.
Into it.
Just,
Yeah.
Just
And who knows the kind of day that guy was having? You know what I
you
mean?
know what?
Like,
I've had some. Okay, I get it. Maybe he came back from a convoy and shit was bad. That happens. I'm still putting flip flops on.
It's never that bad.
I'm not standing in pew ball.
No,
I'm not.
it's never that bad.
Disgusting.
No.
That's disgusting. That's
No, and you know, one of the things that the Taliban targeted when it came to us was our hot water.
That's
Because
smart.
they knew what a morale killer that is.
It
To have
is.
to take a freezing cold shower. It's miserable. It's
The
straight up.
Dude, the hot water heater blew up at Osan in my dorm for like a month. I was furious and I wasn't in combat.
Yeah, miserable.
I had to go to the gym and shower. Whoa, poor me, you know?
Yeah,
Whatever.
right? Like,
Air Force
I gotta
life.
go to the gym.
I tell you what they did do good for us in the desert, though. Food, for the most part. Not at the fobs.
Yeah.
I never been to a fob.
Yeah.
But think about it. Seafood Fridays, Mongolian barbecue
Man.
night.
We have
Everybody who's been to the desert knows Mongolian barbecue night.
Yeah, I love me some
And-
Mongolian barbecue.
In my opinion, the Hajis have mastered the art of dessert.
Yes.
They had that giant dessert
Yep.
tray table things.
One of the low points of deployment, we walked past. So Friday night was steak night.
Yes.
And the thing is, we were on reverse cycle where we were flying at night,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
breakfast.
Yeah.
Breakfast was steak
Steak.
night. Like, I'm like,
Ooh.
we're just going to roll in, just
Yeah.
throwing punches, just getting steak.
No.
So we roll past where they're cooking the steaks on the grill, and they've got these boxes.
Oh.
And these boxes of steaks say, grade D meat for prison or military consumption only.
That checks out.
And I'm just like,
Do you have any A1 sauce?
yeah, is there just, I just need like a jug of A1 that I can, oh man, so bad. We ate it anyways, but
Yeah.
oh man.
Do you remember though how none of the food had spice?
Yeah, it was just
But-
kind of,
Mongolian barbecue night. So every Wednesday was Mongolian barbecue night. We'd go there and you get all your things, you load it all up and it's delicious. And you go back and you go find the nearest bathroom.
Yep.
Immediately.
Oh, yeah.
So we go back to the flight line at night, and our squadron was a HAZ here. Right across the street was the alert HAZ. It was the only hardened bathroom on the flight line. Otherwise, you had to go into those terrifying porta potties, which were terrifying. So I get back to the HAZ. Routine happens, and it's probably a little TMI, but whatever. And I mean, we're all friends here.
Yeah.
And I have a magazine at the time because there's no cell phones. And I'm walking across the flight line going to do work. As I see sparklers going across in the sky, I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me! You've got to be!" I'm like, now I'm like,
this is not how I'm going to die.
yeah. Sitting in the damn alert
I
shitter.
refuse to.
I'm not going out like this. Ugh.
Yeah,
Freaking place.
that was the thing that was funny. I talked to one of the guys that made our food because there were a couple of the Afghan guys that actually spoke English
Oh,
from when the British were there, you know, many years ago. And the thing that was funny about it, they were like, well, "Yeah, we don't know how to cook your food," which is why everything was so bland because they didn't understand how to,
Ketchup. Remember ketchup?
yeah,
That
oh
blew
yeah.
my
They
mind.
didn't understand how to cook our food, and they were like, "But we understand how to cook Mongolian food."
Oh.
I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're
Cook
going
that, please.
way back now. We're
Cook
going
that, please.
way back. We're going, back to Genghis Khan ripping through
Yeah.
here." And yeah, they're just like, "Yeah, we know how to cook that."
Mm.
So that's why the Mongolian was so good.
We had a pig roast once while I was there. That blew my mind a little bit.
That doesn't make any sense to me
No,
whatsoever.
and it was what's funny is, they had the whole serving areas. They had the windows in the back there where you go out for burgers, whatever. And there's a freaking pig sticking out the
man.
window. I'm like,
yeah, oh yeah.
I feel like this isn't good in this part of the country. I know a lot of people
They
frown
do not
upon this.
appreciate these things.
No, it was so good though.
Oh,
it was
man.
so good.
So we have been rolling for an hour and 42 minutes now. So
Oh wow.
yeah, oh yeah, we're on our way to 2 hours. So
All right.
any closing thoughts when it comes to the discussion we've had so far? Are you ready to
Well-
punch out and call it good?
I think we can call this good. I tell
Yeah.
you what though, I think we should do more of these.
Yeah,
I
we'll do
got
it
some
again.
fun ideas.
Yeah.
For instance, I have a boat. We don't know how to fish, and we're both dads of daughters, and
Okay.
our lives revolve around driving all over the country for batons and lighting fire batons on fire and Friday night lights. But
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to have you out on the boat and
Yeah.
two idiots learning to fish, and God knows what other adventure we're definitely gonna have to do one of these when we teach you to kiteboard.
Oh dear God.
We'll have to. I'll have to get a GoPro or
It's
something like that, and
embarrassing.
it's
Yeah.
going to be
It's-
two
it'll
idiots
be
learning to
epic.
kiteboard.
So yeah, with our fishing skills, you and I have been out twice, and we've caught
Remora.
remora.
Yeah, we've caught remora.
It's great.
It's great.
Good. It's good.
I got a really nice fishing boat. We just.
Yeah, it's good.
We're figuring it out.
I feel good about it.
It's fine.
So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already done it, in the bottom here, we're going to put a little subscription link. Right in
Like
this
and
area.
subscribe.
Yeah, and comment on any of the things we've talked about. So, Thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate
guys.
it. I'm going to hit the button and turn it off.